T.S Eliot frequently reflected on the issues within his society, most of which have only worsened with time. These issues comprised of alienation, the corruption of values, urban decay, drudgery, and the existentialist question of purpose. One of the most devastating issues that Eliot feared was the disconnection of individuals in a society where there has never been more opportunity to connect. In his poems Preludes and the Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, there is a neurotic tone surrounding the individual's ability to connect with others. This is where things like drudgery, urban decay, the corruption of values, and lack of individual purpose stops others from connecting with the rest of society. I think the issue of alienation and isolation, despite the many opportunities to connect with one another, has never been as prominent as today. You see, Eliot's poetry explored the way that urbanization caused a boom in population, yet despite how highly populated these city areas were, the individual had never been so disconnected from others. Today, with great technological advancements such as the internet, we should be connecting with everyone like never before. But that isn't exactly what's happening. Instead of engaging with individuals and creating meaningful connections, we have evolved into superficial connections, often creating parasocial relationships with influencers and content creators. Yet this is the most positive aspect of the internet. The highly neurotic narrator in Prufrock fears the criticism and judgment of others as society moves towards more superficial values. Rather than valuing an individual based on their qualities and personality, society places an emphasis on appearance. The narrator, Prufrock, fears the way that others perceive him in his old age. A motif of his bold spot is highly representative of the way in which he is critiqued for his appearance rather than his personality. It makes us, the readers, wonder whether this anxiety is completely justified, as those around him focus on the wrong values. This is where we begin to understand why Prufrock is so socially isolated, as his values don't align with that of the superficial individual. The superficial values of our modern world is evident in the way that we choose to be seen by others online, especially through the excessive use of Photoshop, filters, and fast fashion. It becomes clear that social media has only cultivated these superficial values. The need to conform to these superficial expectations only evokes a fear of judgment in others and further encourages them to isolate from the world in fear of criticism. Eliot's fear of the way in which society cultivated the corruption of individual values has only worsened in severity, as society is too preoccupied with the appearance of individuals that they don't celebrate the individual's actions and qualities. This is only further emphasized by the internet, as judging others is much easier to do anonymously or behind a keyboard. This only reinforces negative behavior on the internet, as there is little to no consequences to your behavior, and this ultimately becomes so normalized that it feeds into a very vicious cycle. A cycle of which starts with the criticism of others, a negligence of that critical behavior, and then criticism becomes so normal that it isolates the individual as they are fearing judgment. And in this isolation, they lose touch with humanity, and then it becomes a lot more easy to criticize others, and then we see this on repeat. And after all of this, that isn't to say that online communities with positive relationships don't exist. There are many ways in which the internet helps provide meaningful connections to the individual, often connecting people who wouldn't be able to do so due to distance or many other reasons. However, I do believe that the negative aspects of the internet overwhelm the positive. This very disconnection from others and corruption of superficial values to create a highly judgmental society is exactly what Eliot feared for this world. Among many things, Eliot within Preludes and Rhapsody on a Windy Night explore the way in which decaying urban settings stop the individual from living a life outside of their home. Discouraging individuals from exploring the world and going outside also hinders the extent to which they interact with others. However, it also means that they begin dreading the world that they live in. Even in Eliot's poetry about 100 years ago, city landscapes were polluted, messy, and off-putting. These settings aren't beneficial for the individual and often evoke feelings of melancholy about the world they live in. Modern cities are experiencing similar issues with multiple means of pollution: sound, light, gases, plastics, and so many more. Poor hygiene, despite technological capabilities, and the rise of minimalism, suppression of design and admirable or aesthetic qualities. Cities are becoming places of convenience for work, rather than a lively social experience, which brings me to Eliot's next fear. The societal expectation of working at a job that is trivial and unfulfilling was something that Eliot became very passionate about. In his work Preludes, he sympathizes with those who work hard and laborious jobs. He explores the way in which these individuals become so fatigued that they have no time or energy for themselves. They live for work, day by day, and slowly their purpose in life is no longer important. With today's current living crisis, it becomes difficult for the individual to prioritize their search for purpose in life, as finding a career that fulfills them is less important than a career that pays the bills. Here we move away from vocational work that fulfills individuals to a desperate need for financial security. This undeniably makes everyday life difficult, as individuals struggle to experience any fulfillment and joy. Eliot feared that the system was breaking down the individual, trampling on their spiritual satisfaction and ultimately suppressing their desire to find purpose in life. Eliot's understanding of life revolved around the belief that one must be driven by a purpose or to find their purpose. An individual without purpose was hollow and lacking integral values. Returning back to society's corruption of values, Eliot argued that these superficial values meant that an individual would most likely lack a purpose in life, and this becomes yet another very vicious cycle. A corruption of values discourages a need to find a purpose in life, which means that the individual's desire to maintain positive values is further discouraged, so the values shift to something superficial and directly neglect the individual need to find a purpose. The more superficial the individual, the less they value a purpose in life. Eliot's poem, Hollow Men, explores how individuals lack meaning and as a result are stuffed with superficial values. Hollow Men looks into the death of spirituality and how this lack of spirituality could result in a loss of moral guidance for many. Eliot later converted to faith within his life as he found that it strengthened his values and gave him more moral guidance, as we see in Journey of a Magi. Although it goes without saying that faith doesn't always provide moral guidance for all. In simple terms, Eliot's argument was that individuals must peer within themselves to cultivate purpose and meaning in life. If one's superficial culture corrupted these values, they would struggle to be fulfilled in life, and this is something that we observe in contemporary society. An example of this superficial dream is individuals infatuating themselves with an unattainable self-image in a world where beauty standards are temperamental and ever-changing. They chase a dream that provides no fulfillment and inevitably relies on others for acceptance. However, chasing a dream that requires a progression of character, skills, and quality has an attainable goal. Superficial values such as beauty are temporary and futile, often resulting in dissatisfaction. As someone from a younger generation, I've recognized a corruption of values in which many focus on their appearance or aesthetic, often neglecting to find something in life that can fulfill them emotionally or spiritually. This lack of purpose and meaning in life gives people the impression that life is unfulfilling or not worth living for. A rise of mental illness, specifically depression in younger generations, can be attributed to the feeling of futility of life. And this is what Eliot believed to be a significant issue in the world. A pessimistic and nihilistic worldview creates Eliot's nightmare, a world filled with nihilistic individuals who lack fulfillment and due to this are highly critical of others and feed into this cycle of harmful behavior. Our modern world is difficult to navigate through, and individuals suffer through life. So take this as a reminder to ground yourself through integral and fulfilling values. Allow yourself to follow what makes you happy despite how the system may feel crushing. If you like this video and you would like to see more, please click subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you really enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you have any thoughts or if you would like to debate down below. And I'll see you guys for the next video. Bye.